Today, we're going to dive into the psychology of people who have been through, well, a lot. Their behaviors can sometimes seem like a puzzle, but they're often these incredibly sophisticated ways of coping, born from really profound experiences. So we're going to unpack the survivor's mindset, not as something that's broken, but as a powerful testament to how adaptable we can be.
You know that person, right? The one who cracks a joke when everything seems to be falling apart, the one who just seems completely unfazed by stuff that would send the rest of us into a total tailspin. It's a pretty common archetype, and behind all that resilience, there's a really fascinating story about a nervous system that has been, well, trained by fire.
Okay, here's a perfect example of what I mean. Think about getting cut off in traffic. For most of us, the reaction is instant anger, right? That's our fight or flight kicking in. But for someone who's navigated real, life-altering crises, their brain's math is just different. It kind of bypasses the personal insult and immediately tries to reframe it. They might actually think, I wonder if that driver's rushing to the hospital. Seriously, when you've survived a hurricane, a little traffic issue just doesn't even register as a threat.
And this is absolutely the most crucial point. We have to reframe how we see these behaviors. This isn't a flaw. It's a highly adapted survival mechanism. Their brain has been fundamentally rewired by their experiences to anticipate, to analyze, and to endure. It's a masterpiece of neuroplasticity, really. And now, it's just trying to learn how to exist in a world where that immediate danger is gone.
So, how do they do it? Well, that brings us to what we in the field often call the survivor's toolkit. These are the specific psychological tools and traits that were developed purely out of necessity, forged in the fire of their past, and now they carry them into every new situation. And here are some of those tools in action. You've got hypervigilance, that person who always has to sit facing the door in a restaurant. That's a constant environmental scan for threats. A great way to manage that, by the way, is a simple grounding exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You just name 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear. It really helps bring your nervous system back to the present. Then there's this intense need for control over tiny details. Why? Well, if your childhood was chaotic, organizing your bookshelf might have been the only power you had. And of course, there's that incredible adaptability and that very distinct, very dark sense of humor. Let's really focus on that humor for a second, because it's so important. Clinically, it's a sophisticated defense mechanism. What it does is create a little bit of space between the person and the overwhelming emotion. It's not about being insensitive at all. It's about reclaiming power. By finding the absurdity in what happened, they shrink its influence. Every single one of those jokes is a tiny act of rebellion. It's a way of saying, you do not get to break me. Okay, now we're getting into one of the most complex parts of this whole picture, the survivor's relationship with intimacy. It's this constant, often really confusing paradox of pushing people away while at the same time deeply craving connection.
And here we see the first part of that paradox. Their empathy is, it's off the charts. You could almost call it aggressive empathy. Because they're so fluent in the language of pain, they notice microexpressions and shifts in tone that the rest of us completely miss. But when it comes to their own vulnerability, the walls go straight up. The moat is drawn. For them, sharing their own pain can feel like you're handing someone a weapon.
The second paradox is just as striking. Their loyalty is often unconditional. They are the person who will answer your call at 3 a.m., no questions asked. They will show up. But asking them to rely on someone else, that is absolutely terrifying. See, if your earliest experiences taught you that people are unpredictable, you learn to become fiercely self-reliant. Needing no one feels like the ultimate safety, but it's a defense against the pain of being let down again.
So what's happening on a biological level? This quote really nails it. If your early life taught you that getting close to someone could equal danger, your nervous system learns that lesson really well. So instead of releasing oxytocin, that bonding hormone, getting close might trigger cortisol, the stress hormone. So when someone gets close, the system doesn't relax, it braces for impact. A huge part of therapy is actually reteaching the nervous system how to feel safe with another person.
And all of this leads us to the emotional core of the whole experience. It's not just about the resilience that was gained, but also about what was lost. We're going to talk about a unique kind of grief and the unexpected growth that can come from it.
Underneath all that resilience, there's often this profound grief. And it's not for a person, but for a version of themselves that they lost, or maybe never even got to be, the self that could trust easily. In therapy, we know you have to mourn the loss of that self before you can begin to reassemble and integrate a new identity, one that honors both the scars and the strength.
But here's the amazing thing.
that grief can exist right alongside something truly remarkable. This brings us to the idea of post-traumatic growth. Now let's be really clear, this is not what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's the idea that the very struggle of making sense of a terrible event can, for some people, lead to this profound, positive transformation.
And as you can see, this isn't some rare thing. The research shows that about half to two-thirds of trauma survivors report experiencing this. It's not about ignoring the pain. It's about finding meaning within it. They don't just bounce back to who they were before. That person is gone. Instead, they bounce forward, integrating the experience into a new, more profound way of being.
So what does this bounce forward effect actually look like in real life? Well, a few key things tend to happen. Relationships that make it through the fire become so much deeper, stripped of all the superficial stuff. Your priorities in life become crystal clear. There's just no time for nonsense. And you gain this intense, almost spiritual appreciation for ordinary moments. The taste of coffee, the warmth of the sun, things most of us just take for granted.
And all of this builds toward a powerful transformation, a journey from personal pain to a broader sense of purpose. This is where the survivor starts to use their experience not as a scar, but as a source of light for other people.
The whole journey kind of reassembles itself into something new. The skills they learn just to survive become this profound insight into the human condition. The pain they endured becomes a deep, deep well of compassion. In the workplace, these are the colleagues who stay calm in a crisis, whose observant nature helps the team because they see dynamics that everyone else misses. Their history becomes a tool to help others navigate their own darkness.
And this is the perfect metaphor, the lighthouse. It doesn't guide ships because its own journey was smooth and easy. It stands tall and shines its light precisely because it knows the dangers of the storm and the blackness of the night. Its strength, its very purpose, comes directly from its memory of the darkness.
And that really leaves us with a final thought. What these individuals teach us is that strength isn't about being unbreakable. It's about the courage to reassemble yourself, piece by piece, into something new. So the question isn't just about them. It's about all of us. What storms in your own life have taught you how to shine?